Perfect. So, how do we feel so far about the sections here before we get started?
They feel pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty reasonable.
Pretty good. Just need a bit more time. I had to do other classes homework like before I had the chance to finish these.
Right, right. Yeah, okay. So I took the time to in the past hour, I took some time to look at these labs and try to figure out which ones I like. And I think doing the first 3 labs is reasonable. Those are the ones that I decided to unhide from you guys. So we can start by looking at the first one, divide by x. This one's quite easy, provided that you absorbed everything from this section. Now, this lab says divide by x. Write a program using integers user num and x as input. So this would be passed as user num, and this would be passed as input, right? And output user num divided by x 3 times, okay? So the result of this program should be, well, the first output should be this number divided by 2, and that's the result. The second number is the result divided by 2, so 500. And the third output should be that result divided by 2 again. So 500 divided by 2 is 250. Okay. So if you are past these 2 inputs, and then your output looks like this with no end lines between, apparently. There's many different ways to code this, but if you can get it to output like this, then you should get full points from this. So how do we want to approach this? Should we like work together, or should I let you guys try it on your own? How do you guys feel?
Keeping up just fine, just typing a little bit.
I'm sorry? Oh, you want to do it together?
All here, we're all together right now.
Okay.
Wait, is this lesson, this is week 2, right?
Yeah, this is week 2.
Week 2.
I can't find it for some reason.
I'm sorry, your mic is very soft.
He said he can't find it.
For something, like for some reason, I can't find it.
Oh, well, it could be because I decided to.
It's open. I'm able to.
It's these 3 labs here. I decided to unhide it like an hour ago, so maybe it didn't update it for you yet. Is that the case?
Try refreshing the page. It did the same thing to me until I refreshed the page.
Mm.
All right.
Okay.
All right, yeah, I fixed it.
Good now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so all right, so this lab seems pretty straightforward. So so what's the first thing we do? Well, obviously the first thing we do is we need cins passing this as user num, and then this as x, right? So we'll just say cin. What did it say? User num. Semicolon, and then cin x. Oh, but I have to declare these variables first, right? So I believe I'm gonna say int user num and int x before this. So what'll happen as a result of this is that the first input will be passed to user num, and the second input will be passed to x, right? Now, in order to do this, in order to get this output, we have to take user num and divide it by x, and then see out, right? So I'm just gonna do the first part to get the ball rolling for you, but after you see the first part, you should be able to do the rest on your own. So the first thing I'm gonna do is say user num equals user num divided by x semicolon, and then I just need to see out user num, right? See out user num. So doing this will give me the 1000 that I want, right? So what do I have to do in order to get these other two numbers?
We input it again, right?
Yeah, we do it again, right? So you're saying just take these two lines of code and put it again, right? Right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, there is actually one thing we need to do first. And I just realized this because there's a space between the 1005 and the 500. Let me do, oops. Let me do this real fast. There we go. And then we copy these lines. Okay. So if user num was 2004, divided by 2 would make user num 1000. And then doing it again would make this 500. Now you're saying we just have to do it one more time, right? Just like that. Without this space at the end. So I'll just delete this. And I believe this should work. We can even try it. So what's wrong here? Output is nearly correct, but white space differs.
Draw the new line.
Yeah, I expected that's what it wanted. So I guess we're gonna have to put in line here like that. Let's try it this time. Okay, now it works. Hold on, did it say in the instructions that we needed to end line at the end?
Zybooks always wants you to end line after an output.
Okay, okay. Okay. All right, so that should work. So this makes sense to everyone. This one's very easy. It just uses the same stuff that we've been using throughout the sections, right? Are we good to move on to the next lab? You guys need me to zoom in, or you got this?
Can you zoom in? For some reason, I swear I have it typed exactly the same, and it doesn't want to. I'm still getting errors.
What kind of error is it giving you?
Oh, it says line. Yeah, line 10 is where I start. Oh. The S and the U were backwards.
Yeah, what?
instead of typing in user num, I somehow had the S and the U switched.
Oh, you
I
had
typed the S before the U. It was like Suzer. It was Suzer num or something.
okay. Okay. All right. So does anyone else need to look at this any further before we move on? Because I think this is pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I typed it exactly the same, but it's acting up.
What do you mean it's acting up? What kind of error is it giving you?
Expected primary expression before hold on, before the less than token.
Oh, you
Did
know
you
what?
forget it?
I think what happened was one of your chevrons is incomplete because I'll zoom in here. See this? If I remove this, this is a less than token. But if I add two of them, it's a chevron.
Mhm.
So I think one of your chevrons is incomplete, and that's
There
what.
we go.
Is that what's wrong?
I looked at it and I don't see any missing chevrons.
Did you forget a semicolon?
I don't think so.
You got to look at it carefully. Even I just realized I
Yeah.
had misspelled something else again at the very top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying.
Sometimes. If you want, you can share your
Really?
screen to us, and then we can all learn from your mistake.
Thank you.
You-
Okay, let me share my screen right now. Oh wait, you disabled it.
Yeah, I have to give you permission to share screen.
Oh yeah.
Let me see if I remember how to do that. I know there's a way to do it. Maybe if I stop my share for a second, I can find how to.
Okay.
Okay, so try sharing your screen now. I think I enabled it.
Okay.
Okay. One sec.
You have an extra semicolon after that username right there.
This
Oh
one?
yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh really? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I can't believe that. I was looking for it too.
Don't worry about it. We're all learning, right?
Okay, well, thank you guys. Oh god, I feel so stupid right
Oh,
now.
don't feel stupid.
Okay, let me just stop staring now.
Okay, I'll go back to sharing my screen.
Thank you.
If it makes you feel better, one time I spent 2 weeks trying to figure out a bug, but it was because I misspelled a variable.
Yeah, code
Uh,
like that. That's how coding is sometimes. But we can move on, right? Is everyone
Yeah.
good?
We're good.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Let me just put that back and this back. All right, awesome. We can move on. Okay. Driving costs. This one's also. Yeah, I like this lab too because it involves math. Well, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to, instead of typing here, I'm gonna type in my IDE so I can show a couple things to you. Not that I have something against this. It's just that if I try running it, it's gonna tell me stuff I did wrong, but it doesn't give me the freedom to play around. So I'm just gonna copy this here. Okay. As soon as it decides to, okay. Let me put this on my second monitor. Okay. So, driving costs. Okay. Driving is expensive. Write a program that writes a car's miles per gallon and gas dollars per gallon, both doubles, as inputs, and output the gas costs for 20 miles, 75 miles, and 500 miles. Okay. Output each floating point value with 2 digits after the decimal point, which can be achieved by executing cout fixed set precision 2. Okay. You did something similar to this in your Python class. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it was a trip calculator.
Mhm.
And it included the gas, the mileage, and the price and stuff.
Okay, awesome. Now, I wanted to show something about this set precision 2 thing. So I'm gonna put this over here and I'm gonna type on good old Visual Studio. So the first thing you might notice is that you see this include IOmanip. So IOmanip is a library, right? And it's short for input-output manipulation. What that basically means is it's a set of tools that lets you format your inputs and outputs. You can add spaces between, you can cut off the decimal points, that kind of thing. And including this library gives us access to the fixed token, okay? So the reason I'm showing this to you is because this might be the first time you're seeing this. And I just want to show you what fixed does. So let me go ahead and include IOmanip so that I have that. Now, let's say I said 10 int x equals 10 divided by 3. Well, actually, I should say double so you can see. Yeah. And then I'll see cout x end line. Okay. So if I went ahead and ran this, we know that 10 divided by 3 is 3.333. Oh, it's only doing, it's treating these as integers. So let me try this again. Okay, so now we'll see 3.333, so on. Yeah, so 3 point, it's just a long, it's an endless list of threes, okay? So the reason why we want to include cout fixed set precision 2 is because this is basically saying we want all of our outputs of our doubles to be precise to 2 decimal points. In other words, it'll only show 2 3s after the decimal point. So I'm just gonna create a new line here. And this should do exactly that. The fact that there's a 2 inside of the set precision means that all of my outputs are precise to 2 decimal points. So if I ran it now, I'll see a 3.33, right? That's exactly what I get. If I decided to set precision to 1, it'll show to 1 decimal point instead. Like that. And if I set it to 3, I think you guys understand, right? That's all I wanted to show to you. But going back to this, yes, if we wanted to output the 2 decimal points, we're gonna need this line right here. Okay. All right, Logan Ashbot asks, is there any reason for including fixed rather than just set position? Precision. Well, sorry. Yeah, the my C++ isn't, well, I don't know too much about the input output library, but I believe if you just had set precision 2, it'll just output the next double as 2 decimal points, and all the other ones will be just as many decimal points as it wants. By putting the fix there, it makes it so that every double is output to 2. I believe that's the purpose of the fixed. Okay, so moving on. Yeah, car miles per gallon and gas dollars per gallon. So, so the very first thing we're gonna do, obviously, is declare our variables. One's going to be miles per gallon, and then dollars per gallon. So double miles per gallon, double dollars per gallon. Now we need to set them equal to actually, it's going to be equal to our inputs. So what we should do is say Cin miles per gallon, and then Cin dollars per gallon. Okay. So we need output for, we need the cost of gas for 20 miles, 75 miles, and 500 miles. So the way I see it, let me do this. So we got, so we have we start with the number of miles, and we have to multiply that by gallons over miles, like that. And then we have to multiply this by and then this will give us some number in dollars, right? Because if we take the number of miles and then multiply that by the number of I'm sorry, guys, I have to think about this. Mhm. Okay. Okay, I think I understand. So what we have to do is take the number of miles, multiply that by the number of gallons per mile, because we're gonna have some number here. The number is going to be 20, then 75, then 500. So whatever that number is, we're gonna multiply that by the number of gallons per miles, because in this situation, miles is our units, right? Miles is gonna cancel out and just leave it with a number in gallons, right? Like that. Yeah, it's stoichiometry. That's right. Thanks for pointing that out, Aaron Massey. And then when we multiply this number by dollars per gallon, the gallons are gonna cancel each other out, and then we'll be left with dollars. Some number in dollars, right? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, so we have a value for dollars per gallon, right? So as for that, this is fine. This input here is okay, but the problem is we're not given gallons per mile, we're given miles per gallon. But that's okay, we can work with that too, because if we want to dividing the number of miles by car miles per gallon is the same as multiplying by the inverse, right? Do we understand that? So in other words, this is the same as I'm gonna put this here. We can switch these around. Oh, let me do this. We can switch these around. And then just change this multiply to a divide, right? And at the end, this formula is exactly the same as this formula, right? Because dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. We learned that from algebra, right? So we know exactly what we have to do now. We're trying to do this equation. Take the number of miles divided by miles per gallon and multiply that by dollars per gallon. And then we're left with that many dollars. So I'm gonna put this, I guess I'm gonna put that here so that everyone can see it. So we want to do it for 20 miles first, okay? So we take, let's just make let's just make new doubles for each of these. So I'm gonna say double. If you guys can see that well. Double cost for 20. And I'm just gonna just call that variable that. And I'm gonna say this equals 20 divided by miles per gallon, right? Because I'm going to divide by miles per gallon. Miles per gallon. And then multiply that by dollars per gallon, right? And then I'll just see out whatever cost for 20 is equal to. Like that. And I believe this would work. Let me test this equation to see if it works for 20 before I decide to do it for the other ones. So if I did this, I should see out 3.16. Let me copy this. Go back here. Try it. Okay. So it's waiting for my C-ins. The first C-in should be 20.0. And the second C-in should be 3.1599. And let's see if it gives me 3.16. Yep, it gives me 3.16, so it works. So let me just minimize this, maximize that. Okay. So I think that was a good recap of algebra and stoichiometry, right? So we know that this formula works, right?
Yes.
Yes. So in order to format this like this, we need a space afterwards, right? So I'm just going to go back to this line 17, put a space like that. So that's how I would do it for 20 miles. How would I do it for 75 and then 500? What do I have to change?
Would you just do a double cost for 75 and pretty much just do the same thing over again?
That's right. So let's just copy these lines, put them here. Instead of 20, we'll say 75. And replace this with 75. Like that. And then we'll just do it again for 500, right? So copy these lines, put them here. Change this to cost for 500. Say 500. But instead of having a space after the C out, we should end the line, right? All right, so how do we feel about this? Do we think this is gonna work?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Fingers crossed. What did we do wrong? Let's see. In the function it main, unused variable cost for 75. Unused variable cost for 500. Wonder what that's about.
You have cost for 20 for all three of them.
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad. Thanks for catching that. I can't believe I made that mistake.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's try this again.
I just made that mistake too, so I was about to say maybe it's that.
Yeah. So now it works. Yeah, like Control C, Control V is useful sometimes, but don't get like don't get too comfortable with it. You can make mistakes like that, you know? Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Mr. Slayman Toki. All right, so, but yeah, but I chose this lab because it's a good lab. Like it, not only does it teach you about math, and it also teaches you the set precision function that I use frequently, but it's also practical because it's calculates the cost of driving, right? So it can be applied to real life. So yeah, it costs $3.16 to drive 20 miles, $11.85 for 75, and then $79 to drive 500 miles. Okay. So go ahead and screenshot this or do whatever in order to get this lab as well. And if we're ready to move on to the next lab, we will. Are we ready to move on to the next lab?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right. Okay, so this lab, the reason why I chose this one is because it utilizes order of operations that we've learned from algebra. So I guess the first thing I'll do is read this out loud. Expression for calories burned during workout. So the following equations estimate calories burned when exercising. So for women, the number of calories you burn is equal to your age times this number minus your weight times this number plus your heart rate times this number. All of this minus this number, and then all of this together times time divided by 4.184. And then the calories that men burn is quite similar to this, except the numbers are a little different. Okay. Now, so what we need to do is write a program that inputs age, weight, heart rate, time, and outputs calories burned for women and men. Okay. Once again, we will be using the CSE fixed precision too, and that's why we included IOmanip here. So if the input is this, so if this was the age and this was your weight, and this was your heart rate and this was the time, it'll pass these into these math equations and then outputs this number for women and this number for men. Okay. Now, and this is quite similar to the what we've been doing before with the driving costs, except this time because the math equation is a little more complicated. We need to we have to control the way in which we do this math. In other words, we need these parentheses here because if you remember order of operations from algebra, the way I learned it is PEMDAS, PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, and then add and subtract. So when it sees this operation, the first thing it'll see is this value times this value. Because this is in parentheses, it'll execute this first. And then this parentheses will happen, this parentheses and this parentheses. And then because subtract and add are the same priority, it doesn't matter the order in which you do these. But whatever this value comes to, we'll multiply that by time and divide it by 4.184. And because multiply and divide are the same priority, we don't need to put parentheses to order which one we do it first. So yeah, so I feel like this is doable. So so I've been guiding us through most of these labs. Does anybody want to take the reins and tell me what I should do first?
I suppose as a personal preference, I personally like to, just because it's always annoying to go scroll up and down and up and down. I
Mhm.
typically do one of that comment thing where it's like slash asterisk asterisk slash, and then put the directions right there, so I don't have to keep scrolling all the way up and then all the way down personally.
Okay, so you want to do this, right? I'll copy
Yeah.
this and then I'll put it here.
Yeah, and then I'll start my code underneath. So first we would define the variables, no?
That's right. So our variables, what are they? It's age, weight, heart rate, and time, right?
Yeah, so at least 4. And the homework or the notes lab thing, it says to be fairly specific. So should we call them slightly different rather than just age, weight, and all that? Or should we just leave it as that? Just so it's simple on us.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Because remember the lab notes or instructions part, it says to try to get in the habit of being with a specific when initializing variables, to be specific with them. So should we do that, or should we just make it short and just call it age, weight, and heart rate and all that?
Yeah, we can do that. But yeah, we'll have 4 variables called age, weight, heart rate, and time respectively. That's what you're trying to say, right?
All right then. And considering we're dealing with, it says that it will be eventually, was it float point stuff? So we should make them all double.
That's right. The reason why we have to use doubles and not ints is because what I think there's a section in the previous sections that talked about it when it talks about integer division. I can demonstrate that here if you guys want me to show it to you. So let me get rid of this. And a lot of beginner programmers, they would type in some pretty simple math equations and I'll get answers that are not what you're expecting. Well, you'll understand when I show this to you. I'm going to say int a equals 5, int b equals 2, cout a divided by b. All right, so if I ran this program here, I have 5 divided by 2, right? Now 5 divided by 2 is going to be 2.5, right? However, because these are integers, I can't have 2.5 as an integer. So how does C++ mend to that? The way it does it is that it takes the 2.5 and then it lops off the decimal portion, so we're left with 2. So if I ran this right now, even though 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, what I'm going to see is 2 because this is integer division, right? Yeah, it's gonna give 2. So integer division is useful for some programs, but for programs like this where precision is important, integer division results in loss of information. So we have to do it the way Jose Garcia said and have our variables be doubles instead. So if I change these to double, what I should get is 2.5 instead. Yeah, like that. So we'll do exactly the way you said it, Jose Garcia. We're gonna say double, and it's gonna be age, double weight, double heart rate, and then double time, like that. That was what you were talking about doing, right?
Yeah.
Jose? Right. Perfect. So
And personally, just because I'd sort of done this while you're doing the other ones, I added two other variables just because in the example output, there's two different things. So I figured male calorie or like men calories and women calories, just because we're going to have to do the equations and it'd be easier rather than typing it all in the C out part.
so like men calories
Yeah,
and then female calories.
yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So does everyone agree with what Jose Garcia's said so far? Looks good. Okay. All right, perfect. So so it seems to me like all we need to do now is calculate this according to the equations, right? So
Yeah.
men calories. What's this gonna be equal to?
A long equation.
This thing, right?
That's women.
Oh, my bad. Oh, it wants us to output women first, then men, huh? Okay.
Yeah. But right now, this is just the calculation page. It's not the output.
We'll do female first. Why not?
All right.
So
And I pretty much did the same thing you did. I literally just copy and pasted that part because it's almost exactly the same
yeah,
as what's needed.
yeah. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm lazy. I'm just, since the formula is almost completely finished for me, I'm just gonna copy this and stick it here. Does
I
anyone
just
have a problem?
edited
with
like
that?
the things that were slightly different.
Yeah,
Like,
these are slightly different. I'll go ahead and change that in a minute.
Yeah, one thing to note as well, the subtract signs aren't the exact characters that can be in the IDE. So you get like stray things in there. So you have to actually change the subtract signs as well.
Right.
Because
Yeah. So Logan James has a point. So the font here is not the same as the font that's used in C++ code. For instance, one thing I know is that one thing I know about regular text that you can put in the text generator is that the quotes are different. So that's gonna mess up your program. But I didn't know that the subtract symbols were different too. We're gonna have to change that. So subtract. And instead of this X here, it needs to be an asterisk, right? Because you use asterisk in order to multiply.
Yes.
Right. So make sure you change these minus signs and then replace the X with an asterisk before you go ahead and run this. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of problems. But the other thing we need to do is change the variable names, right? So this needs to be age. And I'm just copy pasting here. This needs to be weight lowercase. This needs to be heart rates and camel case. This needs to be and that should be all right. we'll do the same for men calories. Put that here equals. Put that here, which is a little change in format. This. This. This needs to be changed to an asterisk. And this minus sign needs to be changed. And then we need a semicolon after, obviously. Is there anything I'm forgetting here? Oh yeah, you're right, Arturo Perez. We need to put CNs first before we do these calculations. Thank you for pointing that out. So what is being seen? First is the age, then the weight, then the heart rate, then the time. Okay. CN, age, weight, like that. Now, in case you didn't know, you can have your CNs be like this. You don't have to write a separate line for each CN. In case you didn't know that. It'll treat them as separate inputs as long as you put spaces between. Okay. All right. So now that we have our CNs and then we have our calculation, what do we need to do now? We're almost finished.
And now we have the CN, the calculations. I think we're pretty much at the point of outputting it.
Yeah. So we need to output a string that says women colon space say this and then the calories, and then man colon space output the number and output space calories. And actually, you know what? I just realized that we're missing something important. I forgot to include the cout fixed set precision too. So let me go ahead and take that and put that in the beginning of the program. There we go.
We're wondering, does the fixed precision have to be at the beginning, or just as long as it's before the cout part?
Just as long as it's before the cout part.
Okay.
So where you put this in the program, it won't like mess up your program, but it will change the precision of your outputs. So let's say that let's say that I had this in the beginning of the program. Every output after that is going to be set precision to 2. But if later in the program I had a line somewhere that says the same thing but set precision 4, now every output after this line is going to be outputted to 4 decimal points. So I can change the precision at any point in the program. But if I'm having the precision be the same throughout the entire program, I only just need to put it in the beginning. So you can have lines like this everywhere. Okay. So now we just gotta do the output now. So cout, we need to say women colon space. So string women colon space. And then I need to say there's a result for female calories. And then space.
And then we put space calories.
Yep.
In the quotation marks.
That's right. Now, did it have a period in the end? No, it
think so.
didn't. Okay. And then obviously need to say end line.
And then it should be fine for us to just copy our statement and just change the woman to man and then just put male calories
That's right.
or men calories.
Men, and then yeah, I didn't realize until after the fact I put female and men. That's all right. Like the user doesn't need to know what happens, what the code looks like. They just need to know that it works, right? So
Sure.
So let's see if Brandon Vasquez says you forgot to switch the X into parentheses. Oh, you're right. I did. My bad. Thank you for pointing that out, Brandon Vasquez. So these X's here, they need to be changed to asterisks. Thank you for catching that. That would have been bad. So make sure you change that before you run it on your machine as well. Okay. Okay, so now how do we feel? Do we think that this will work?
I hope it does.
You hope it does? I hope it does too. Let's see. Yep, it works.
Hooray.
All right, perfect. So now we did everything. So take a screenshot of this or do whatever you need to. But here's how it should look. Logan Ashbaugh asks, oh. Can you see that? Is this better? Okay. All right, Logan Ashbaugh asks, would it be possible to do CIN chevron double X?
I think it has to be first initialized and then that, or no?
Yeah, no. You're asking if you can. I think you're asking if you can do the CIN and the initial, the declaration in one line. The answer is you can't. Yeah, you can't initialize while getting input at the same time. The variable has to be declared first. Okay. So we just finished every lab right now. I think everybody got this already. I'm gonna zoom back out. And yeah, leave. We did each of the 3 labs, so we should be all right now. Oh, Flamin' Toki says you can't find your mistake. Do you want to share your screen with everyone and we can try to find your mistake together? Is that something you want to do, Mr. Toki? Okay, I'll stop my. Oh, okay. You got it. All right. I was about to give you permission to share your screen, but if you got it, then that's fine. Okay. So how do we feel? Oh, it was a semicolon. Yeah, that happens sometimes.
That happened to me before too. Like it says like, oh, initialize like calories, like something, men, and like calories, like what is missing? Like, oh, colon.
Yeah.
Or semicolon.
Yeah, that's how it be sometimes. Okay, so are we good now? We did every lab we wanted to do this evening.
So next Tuesday we'll be covering the homework that he had signed us.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I'll help you get the ball rolling on that. And if there's still time, I think we can do maybe 1 or 2 of these sections. Hold on. Let me see. How long are these?
I was gonna say for the sections, I mean, going through all this is just reading, but wouldn't it be maybe better just to look at maybe the challenges?
A challenge?
Because most of the beginning part is just reading.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just something I was thinking. I'm not sure if really we all need to go over like just the reading and all that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, this is your class. Like, I'm here to serve you guys. Whatever you want to do, we'll do it. So if you don't want to do the participation activities and just do the challenge activities, I'm completely down with that. It's just that not everyone's on the same page, you know. Because some people are ahead, some people are behind, but I think that's a problem that's always going to be present. I don't know. If you guys want to do it that way, then I'm totally okay with that. But can we do extra labs if we have some time? Next lab. To be honest, I haven't looked at these labs yet. Did the professor say this chapter is due next Thursday? I believe all this is due next Tuesday, I think.
He had actually started changing it because he wouldn't be able to complete chapter 2 completely. So this lab won't be fully due until next Thursday.
Oh, so he's saying that these labs won't be due until Thursday? The ones that we just did just now?
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Yeah, like these do take a while, like learning C++, it's good to be thorough with it. Like there's some gaps in my knowledge that I had to go back and fill in. It's kind of annoying. But if we feel good about these labs, we can go ahead and end the session now, unless anybody else has any questions. You're good? Okay. So next Tuesday, we will look at Professor Amir's homework together. And then I can help you guys get the ball rolling on that.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Everyone, have a good night and have a good weekend.
You too. Good night.
Same to you.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.